Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart as well as other macro crypto charts and indicators. So, starting off with fear and greed, we can see that even though Bitcoin and crypto got down into extreme fear recently, we were as low as 10, which we have not seen since well, before this bull run even began. We can see that when you zoom in, we are starting to form a base. And instead of just getting lower highs and lower lows, I mean, there's really not much lower you can get in extreme fear than this. We are seeing higher highs, higher lows. Expect bounces in these downtrends. So we'll see if the 50-week moving average, which I'll show you as a level, if that doesn't hold, then don't be surprised to see fear stay down here for longer. But this is a little bit of micro timeline promising news. Going over to the seasonal chart as far as how each month of crypto goes, as far as returns, you can see that from December through March, it's one of the weakest stretches overall for crypto outside of June through September. But overall, the best couple times or months for crypto is really October and November. November is the strongest month. And then April and May. April is the second strongest month. So we are seeing this downtrend in the market, and we may start to see a rebound from that downtrend sometime around April. I think this is an important chart to look at just as far as some things to watch for. I talk about these in the stock videos. Here's the one I wanted to show you. And that is when we have a new president or a new inauguration, that it is normal for the start of the year to be in somewhat of a down or sideways type of price action. So we're around that 100-day mark. I'm wondering if we're going to start to see a bounce and a continuation to the upside. If this is just a dip, we shall have some of those answers revealed shortly. So just keep that in the back of your mind. As we're talking about all this crypto stuff, of course, a lot of people who have been interested in crypto or who have been in crypto are in there because we have these things called alt seasons, and alt seasons have happened at least the last couple of times at the end of the cycle. When Bitcoin tops, when Bitcoin is topping and it is too expensive to buy, you see this rotation from money that's in Bitcoin into Ethereum, other large caps, altcoins. So if you've heard that other people have gotten a 10, 20x, 5x in a matter of months, that's what they're talking about as alt season. And we'll take a look at some of those metrics as well, seeing if we are even kind of on our way to that. And overall, as you get to the top or wherever the cycle completes, you will see that there are pretty big pullbacks. 2017, 2016, there's a number of 40% pullbacks. This wasn't an uptrend right here, but there were at least 30% pullbacks in here. So many 30% pullbacks last cycle. This cycle, it's been a lot of 20% pullbacks, and we just had somewhere around a 30% pullback as well. As far as the alt season index, you can see here that overall nothing's broken. It's still making higher lows, higher highs. So everything as far as that indicators concerned is proceeding as planned. And as far as the rainbow chart, you can see that when we take a look at it from this perspective, I am not too concerned with this pullback. Why? Because it is still in an uptrend as we've seen before. So overall, we get these moves up that happen really fast. Then we go sideways, we consolidate for a bit, get a big violent move up, go sideways down, consolidate, big move up, sideways down. This was like 8-9 months, big move up. We're going sideways and down. So we might even get to the lower end of this green band, and you can see the lower areas around 70K. That might just be an area to watch for. But right now, I like the levels we are at for dollar cost averaging in and buying the dip. I don't believe that this cycle's over because just plainly taking a look at the rainbow chart, you can argue that we haven't reached the top. We haven't seen Bitcoin get to the orange to red bands. Now, optimistically, you might be looking for one of these red bands, and if so, maybe you believe there's a Bitcoin top later this year and you're looking for 300K Bitcoin. that's fine. That you got to put your money where your mouth is. But I wouldn't wait too long, depending on the different indicators and how they unfurl. But if you're maybe more conservative minded like myself, you can see that these tops get a little lower each time. So we got into the reddish orange band. I'm looking more for the orange bands this time around. So if we did see a top later this year, maybe something around the 180K, and even the old rainbow chart, here it is, the older rainbow chart, you can see this even more so, how these tops get lower. And if you just take the average of that, it would be around this light green zone, which would again be around 180K. So 150, 180K, that's something I'm looking for. On this channel, I also talk about other cryptos, stocks, Bitcoin mining stocks, and do live streams. So this video would have been put out on Monday, been a little bit sick, so that's why it's only coming out now. Anyways, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So it is in this descending channel, and you can see Bitcoin came down right near the lower end of that channel, for as well as I drew it. But we are getting lower highs and lower lows, so that trend overall isn't broken. But what's important to note, the most important thing to note here outside the channel, is this moving orange line, the orange gold line. This is the 50-week moving average. And so we were going sideways. We had this big move down. We had candle body closes on the weekly underneath that 20-week moving average. And the wick came right down to the 50-week moving average. Now, zooming out, I wanted you to keep this in mind as well. Drawing a fib from the low to the high, we have the 236 at around 69K. So remember how I showed you on that rainbow chart that the low 70s could be an area to watch for? Here would be why. And just going back to the last correction that happened after March, you can see that not only did Bitcoin get to that 50-week moving average, but it also got to that 236 retracement from there as well. So if we did see a similar move play out, again, that 236 is there at around 69K. If it gets underneath that, we have the 100-week moving average, which right now it's a moving average. It's climbing up into the 60s. But even below that, if we had something really bad happen, then you're looking at the 382 and the 200-week moving average down there, 52. But I'm not saying it will get there. We'll cross that bridge if we get there. As far as this move overall, let's just measure it out for some perspective. So as far as that high that Bitcoin had all the way up to 109K, we have seen a 30% correction. And that's my cat's feet are going in the background. So we've seen a 30% correction from the top, and we have not seen a correction like that at all in the cycle since last August. And these are the only two 30% corrections. So if you just take a look at these two corrections, we have not seen Bitcoin get any lower than around that 30% area. But what you do want to see for that to hold is you want to see the 50-week moving average hold up, and you don't want to see the candle body closing completely underneath there. Once the candle body gets underneath there, then the moving average is resistance instead of support. And the 50-week moving average is, in a lot of people's mind, the difference between bullish and bearish. So I did a video last week on what I would do, how I would change my trade vesting strategy, my dollar cost average strategy, if Bitcoin or if the stock market went under the 50-week moving average. And to simply put it, it's not that I would stop buying, but I would just buy with more confirmation. I would buy more defensively. So if we remove one of our indicators here, what I would look for, instead of just buying the moving averages and the fibs, which I like doing in an uptrend, I would take a look at the stochastic. Is the stochastic flipping positive? Is the MACD flipping positive? And I've talked about this, that the MACD on the weekly time frame, this is the chart to watch. Once this starts to flip positive, when it has in the past, that's when we've seen these massive moves up to the upside. So you can see once that MACD flips positive, we are going positive as well. So just keep an eye on this indicator as well. As far as price targets, you remember how I was talking about 180K as a possibility. When we take our fib and we draw our fib from the high to the low, and we take a look at price targets, we take our fib off log scale, and you can see that most recently Bitcoin ran into this 1618 fib, never had candle bodies closing above it. You can see that when it did here, it moved up higher, but never had candle bodies closing above it. Let me get rid of that green line there. So the next area, the 2618, is at 155K. The 3618 is 207. I will let you know that last cycle, Bitcoin got to the 3618, 4236, but the fibs also reflect what the rainbow chart shows, and that is we have had logarithmic regression. Log goes by scales or factors of 10, and then it flattens out. We get decreased volatility over time. So if we got up here last cycle, I'm eyeing in this range in the most bullish scenario, even factoring in inflation. Since last cycle, our dollars are worth 20% less. So if Bitcoin was 25% higher than, let's say, the 2618, we can just draw that up 25%, give or take. You can see that would be around 190K. Again, I don't care where the exact top is. I care for what the markets are doing. And when we're looking for alt season, as I showed you in this chart before, when Bitcoin tops, when it is topping and it's too expensive to buy, that is when you see that rotation. And you see that rotation. One form of looking at this is Bitcoin dominance, and that is when you have all this money, 62.13% of all money in crypto is in Bitcoin, when you see this massive rotation. You see that 2017, you see that in 21. These each lasted for about a month, give or take. I'm looking at the 64% area as a possible top. But right now, this Bitcoin dominance chart, it is not bearish. Remember what I said about the 50-week moving average? We have to start closing underneath that for this dominance to be bearish. And we could take a look at other indicators. Maybe let's take a look at the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. You can see that these peaks are getting a little lower, so there is bearish divergence forming, higher in the price action, lower in the strength, but this hasn't broken down yet. Even taking a look at, let's take a look at the ultimate RSI, there it is. And even on this one, it's not breaking down yet, but once it does, you want to see the strength breaking down, the price breaking down, and getting under the 50-week moving average. Going over to, let's take a look at ETH Bitcoin. And we can see right here that Ethereum is worth 14% overall market cap of what Bitcoin is. So if we go to coin market cap, hit refresh here, Ethereum's market cap at this current price is 267 billion. That is 14% of 1.56 trillion. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to market cap, not just price. All because a price is lower, okay, does not mean that its market cap's lower. So do educate yourself and understand what market cap means. And that's why you shouldn't fall into these random predictions that, XRP is going to 10K or Cardano is going to 200, ridiculous things like that. So right now, the market cap Ethereum is 14% of what Bitcoin is. And as far as this bottom right here, you can see that maybe is matching up with this area over here, but it is definitely wicked down lower. So I am curious if we draw a fib or two, what we'll find. We'll do a low to high fib. So we did from that low to that high. Let's make sure our fib's on log scale so we can see everything between. And you can see that 786 from low to high is breaking down. Let's do from high to low. So we'll go from this point up here, and then we'll do to that most recent low. And you can see it's breaking underneath that 236 for sure now. So there's other ways you can draw fibs as well if you're looking to line things up. So I'm just going to go from this line over here. And if we draw, it's no matter how we draw it, you can see this thing's just breaking down. So outside of the fibs, which look for golden ratios supports, we can even draw. I just want to cover every base here. If we're looking for those golden ratios, no matter how you slice it, the fibs are saying that it's getting underneath that. So right here, we're just looking for horizontal support from any of these points. But otherwise, there's even people who would argue that this is in a descending channel. But I would be looking for horizontal support, and anywhere kind of between, you can go all the way to the very bottom when it's around 10%, but I'd be taking a look at what it does around this area at around 12%. If Ethereum Bitcoin gets lower to that 12% area, watch for that reaction. Let's take a look at total 3 divided by Bitcoin. Again, these are good ways to look for alt season and if we're progressing. So total 3 Bitcoin, it is leveling out at this 0.5 fib that we have drawn from low to high. So maybe this is rounding out. We'll get support. If we see this start to move up and get weekly regular closes above the 50-week moving average, that would be a good sign. So let's see what happens here. Maybe it doesn't have to go any lower than this, even though it's wick down there, but that's something to watch. And if we take a look at others divided by Bitcoin, and others is the total market cap outside the top 10 cryptos. This has been in a ascending channel, and it's still holding up within that channel. So that's good to see as far as just taking all the alts. All of the altcoins out there, all their market caps added up, everything outside the top 10 is about 14% of the market cap of Bitcoin. Taking a look at Tether dominance, we have not taken a look at this one in a hot minute, and I'm glad we are. Let's take off the moving averages here. Whenever Tether dominance hits or gets near this trend line, then that has been around a local top. So you can see the Tether dominance coming up a bit. So Tether, this is a stable coin, and this is for people who want to keep the value of their cryptos at the value they're at. So this is at $1. It's always at $1. And as the market becomes more volatile, people don't stay in risky assets. They go to Tether to keep the value. So 5.36% of all money in crypto is in Tether, but do watch around this trend line if it were to come back down. So we could try to draw a fib from high to low. Maybe we'll get something here as far as things to watch for. And you can see it kind of came right up to the 382. So see if maybe after the 382 that we start to get sort of a descending trend line here. You guys can probably see it, but let me just draw it out for you. You know, is this going to be somewhere around a top, give or take? It doesn't have to be perfect, but that would be something to watch for. Or if it's breaking up out of here, going back to the 0.5 fib, you're probably going to see further downside in Bitcoin in the short term. So I'm still macro bullish on Bitcoin, but these are the times, in my opinion, where I'm buying the dips. And again, going back over to Bitcoin, if we see Bitcoin getting under the 50-week moving average, that is when I'm no longer just buying fibs or moving average support. When price gets there, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins, that's when I'm waiting for confirmation, as I showed you before. With the MACD, with the stochastic RSI, you can even add on buy signals if you want as well. But I would look for more confirmation on the weekly to monthly time frames in a bear market, just to make sure you're not catching a falling knife. So I like Bitcoin. I like crypto overall. I don't know when alt season is, whether it is in April or November of this year, or if it's in 2028. I don't know, but what I do see, or what I do have confidence in, is that we have these cycles of crypto that when Bitcoin gets too expensive, we get these rotations. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is and try to be positioned for one of those rotations when Bitcoin eventually tops. So again, I don't know when the top is, but that's part of my plan. That's how I'm sticking to it. And is there anything else I want to take a look at here before I close out this video as far as price targets? I think there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm having a hard time remembering right now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate all the likes and subscribers. Hope you all are having a fantastic week. And I'll try to put out a Bitcoin mining stock video tomorrow. And then if my voice is doing okay, I had the flu recently. If my voice is doing okay, I'll do a live stream on Friday at around noon Central Time. So that has been a fun time to talk with you all. So yeah, I think we'll call it right there. Thanks again for watching. Have a fantastic day. Take care.